Hello everyone. Welcome to the session on newspaper of 6/12/2022 guys. Welcome to Dr. Rajkumar Academy. So let's quickly get into the news. So guys, as part of Mahaparinirvan Divas, state government has given here the list of all the schemes that it has done with respect to SC and ST communities. For KPSC aspirants, these will be very, very important. So please go through this and try to recollect the factual information and other things as well. So it will be important for KPSC students. Next, DMK seeks review of Supreme Court verdict on 10% EWS quota. As I told you, certain political parties are caste based and certain political parties are religion based in our country. If you take MIM, which is purely on the basis of Muslims, at the same time, BJP is seen to be mostly supporting Hindus. DMK is mostly into lower caste or the so-called lower caste. There is nothing called as upper caste and lower caste, but yeah, the so-called lower caste. Now, the DMK political party historically has ensured that the upper caste are not being given any sort of reservations or any facilities in Tamil Nadu. And because of this itself, they had ensured that 60 to 70% reservation they had given to OBC community and they had placed it under ninth schedule so that the Supreme Court cannot interfere. But now, when the central government has given 10% quota, they call it to be easy, exclusive, luxurious reservation. That means, it is luxurious. So these type of terminologies, when people speak about the poor people from other communities, itself indicates the hatredness for the upper caste communities. So, there are certain poor people who are genuinely affected because, for them, there is no much opportunities and such reservations might benefit them. So, people have to be conscious about the poor who are present in different communities as well. Supreme Court offers to find solution to deceitful conversions. See guys, now according to our constitution, we have the right to choose what we need to practice. But that right to choose is purely on the basis of in which God I actually trust, which God has helped me. That is what we need to see when we are talking about right of conversion. But many tribal communities in India, many SC STs in India, unfortunately, they have been converted not because they believe in another God, but they did not had proper government facilities. It may be food, it may be clothing, it may be shelter, it may be medicines, it may be treatment. So when they were not there, what happened? These people they requested, that we will provide you these things, medicines and all, but you should convert. So many people started converting because of the charity. There are many accusations on different NGOs in converting, especially when you go to Northeast and all. There is significant amount of people who have got converted into Christianity, not because of the faith, but because of allurement or charity. So now, what is important here for the Supreme Court is that Supreme Court says everybody has a right to choose their faith, but does not mean luring somebody by giving something. If you believe that a particular community needs help, you help it. It is charity. But the purpose of charity must not be conversion. So it's a very good statement which we need to see how exactly they are looking into it. Exit polls predict not required. Maharashtra ministers barred from entering Belagavi district amid border row. Guys, Belagavi, as we were discussing yesterday, is an important issue between Karnataka and Maharashtra, and it occurs once in a while, and UPSC asks you questions with respect to this for sure. Like, just be conscious. There is a concept in society called as regional consciousness and national integration. Under that, what exactly is regional consciousness? We trying to associate our love towards our language by associating it with a particular region. It can be language, it can be religion, it can be any cultural aspect. Associating with a particular region is regional consciousness. So guys, faith and freedom. Freedom of religion is protected when state keeps away from matters of faith. Yes, certain leftists in India always support mass conversions from Hinduism to other religions. So the same thing when it happens with other communities, the same newspapers say it is majoritarian view of conversions. So just be conscious when you talk about anything. Being IAS officers, you should not be biased based on the religion. So just always know that yes, there is a right for us to convert. I can convert if I like some other religion. But someone should not be misusing my poverty, illiteracy, my social problems for conversion. So that may lead to certain problems in future, right? Is the COVID-19 pandemic that is not required? Climate talks as short-changing international law. Yes, this is a very good article, guys. Let me explain about this little bit in detail. So now, climate change talks are going on. You know that recently it got concluded, and they were discussing about loss and damage, money, and other aspects. Now, here is Mukul Sanwal, who is a former UN diplomat, and he was part of climate change secretariat. Now, he is trying to say that there is huge fraud that is involved in the climate change talks because in 1972, when Stockholm Convention came, the actual argument was urbanization has changed the nation with 75% of its people living in the urban area. We must see ourselves not only as victims of environmental degradation, but as environmental aggressors and change our patterns of consumption and production accordingly. I want you to make a note of that paragraph, guys. But let me explain this little bit in detail, guys. Now, guys, in 1968, few group of people they sat and started discussing, like in Rome. which is actually called as Club of Rome, not dub, club, like Club of Rome. In this, business people, philanthropists, right, scientists, environmentalists, everyone came. They all met and they told that if we continue to degrade environment the way we are doing, then it is very difficult because the growth cannot happen forever. That made the scientific community to go for a research called as limits to growth. Now they did a scientific experiment called limits to growth. Now under this limits to growth, they considered population growth, guys. That is how exactly population is growing. They considered resource scarcity. That means when we consider non-renewable resources, then there is scarcity, correct? Resources are not there forever. After a point, resources will be over. There is limit on food production as well, as you are aware. There is limit on food production. Industrial output cannot be forever, right? Industrial output, and most importantly, they considered pollution. In limits to growth, they considered these five factors and said that if population continue to increase, if resources are depleted the same way, if food production does not happen in a proper manner, and if industrial output continues, pollution continues, then growth is limited. Growth will not happen forever, is what this concept of limits to growth tried to tell. It argued that we will be able to resolve the problem not by scientific innovation, not by scientific innovation, but by changing the way we live, which India is trying to do with respect to life. Fine. So what should change is our livelihood than, like scientific measures alone. Fine, guys. This is very, very important for you. A case for change, Iran's case they have given, guys. You can make a small note in climate change negotiations itself. In 1968, Club of Rome, in 1968, Club of Rome decided to study the impact of development on environment. Full stop. Later scientific analysis, like limits to growth, like limits to growth, projected that projected that if the current levels of pollution if the current levels of pollution increases, then there would be limits to growth. Next point, urbanization is considered to be major contributor to emissions because rural livelihood are not carbon intensive, but they are carbon negative. But they are carbon negative. Whereas urban livelihood is carbon positive and is purely responsible for emissions. Emissions. Next paragraph. Urbanization is increasing even in urbanization is increasing even in developing countries. So there must be certain measures taken to ensure that urban livelihood will not become a threat to environment. Next, guys. Now, the Prime Minister is making all round effort to ensure that G20 presidency is a success. So, some political parties are trying to say that it's not something great because one after the other, everyone would have been given. India would have got at any time. So, it is our time now. And some people say, what's there in that? There is nothing that we should be proud of. But let me tell you certain things, guys. Uh, there were several summits that happened for climate change. But when it happened in Paris, they ensured that finally climate talks will be successful. And today, at least some progress is made in climate talks because of France. So it's very important who heads it because they will push to ensure that it becomes a memory. With respect to G20 also, it is a way of exposing ourselves to the world. Now you look at Qatar during the World Cup, it is trying to promote its luxurious tourism. So these things will always be there, guys. But it should be all parties' effort. 75 years of independence will come. It would have come whichever political party it was. But it is our responsibility to celebrate, irrespective of the political parties we belong to. Need for collective efforts highlighted at G20 Sherpas meet. Guys, in G20, every country will have a representative called as Sherpa, and they all will discuss what should be the main agenda for G20. They will be meeting regularly. Last time they had plans to meet at Havelock. Now they have met at Udaipur, and the government is planning to ensure that these type of discussions will happen in not capital cities but in other cities, so that they also will be exposed culturally. Catching small fry is not enough. Nab masterminds of drug smuggling. So, guys, drugs are actually increasing, and that needs to be protected, especially in Punjab region. Guys, there is an article about this here. I'll just show you. Yeah, drugs and spurious liquor will finish off Punjab youth. See, guys, Punjab has border with Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran is part of Golden Crescent, Crescent, Crescent. And Golden Crescent normally indicates that opium is produced in that particular area. And as Punjab is closer and Punjabis are rich enough because of Green Revolution, the flow of drugs into India is always more. You might have even seen Udta Punjab movies and all. So just have that in mind in internal security, guys. Yeah. India Germany impact on migration. Jaishankar defends buying Russian oil. See, guys, when we talk about world, US is the most dominant country. Guys. When we talk about Asia, China, Japan, India, they are very important. When it comes to Europe, it is Germany which is the most powerful country economically. Now UK has left. France and Germany can be considered to be the most important countries. And in that, Germany is a lot. Now, Germany has less population, mainly because old age is more, youth are less. So, Germany always supports some sort of migration. And when Germany has come to India, Germany's support to India on many aspects are important, especially German NGOs fund a lot to other countries, and these NGOs they fund certain anti-social elements to other countries as well. If there are protests and all, they support. So when India speaks to Germany, it would be easier for India to handle the issue carefully. So it is all about that. Ruling Nepali Congress emerges as largest party, not required. So these are all not much guys. But yeah, Sri Lanka seeks India's help to boost dairy output. See guys, India through White Revolution ensured that India is one of the largest producer of milk. Sri Lanka has requested India to support it so that even they can increase their milk productivity. Yeah. So nothing much in economy as the Hindu newspaper reduces it drastically. Because don't worry about the economy. Economic survey budget will cover previous month's economic issues as well. Whatever is important from economy point of view, economic survey will cover. And even we'll try to do it with the help of certain magazines as well, guys. Fine. Thank you.